Hey everyone, into this event brought to you by Thuzio. I'm Jane Slater of the NFL Network, and we appreciate this incredible crowd here that showed up at the City Club in LA. Always good to have the live audiences again. Brings like a different energy to this, guys. Yeah. But we also want to welcome in our fans of both of you watching this at home, thanks to our partnership with Triller TV and Fight TV. So hello to you, and I know a lot of you guys submitted some pre-submitted questions. We will get to those at the end of this. Well, I introduced myself. These two on stage need no introduction. I could do 5 hours with you guys, honestly, covering your career from high school to college to your accomplishments in the NFL, but that's what football life and 30 for 30s are for. So we're going to try and get into as much as we can in an hour, but thank you guys both for being here. We've got Torry Holt, Marshall Faulk.
Good evening.
Pleasure.
Good evening.
And I did meet someone in here earlier. Where did she go? She said, I don't care about, there she is. I don't care about football. I'm here for the drinks and the food. I appreciate that.
That's cool.
Welcome.
But my goal when I have people come to these events is I want you to walk away and love these guys. I want you to cheer from them from afar. You guys certainly have plenty of those still doing that. That one in the audience over there, the unofficial Marshall Faulk hype guy. Yeah. But you guys were part of the air game, the run game, and what was the greatest show on turf. Some special years. You found yourselves going to the Super Bowl twice, hosted up that Lombardi once. Marshall, my former NFL Network colleague, I want to ask you, what do you remember about that week leading up to the Super Bowl?
Oh, man, I remember all the dealings that you have with family, the friends, all the people in your life that are there for you. It's funny when I think about it. It's like getting married. It's like a wedding. Everybody's showing up for you that you know, but making sure that mentally you were prepared and understanding that getting to the Super Bowl wasn't the goal. It was winning the Super Bowl because a lot of people think about getting there. And getting there is fun. It's fun. You get to party, you get to enjoy it, but the job is not done. I don't know if you guys hear the caption or you hear like on TV, oh, we're not done. We still got one more game. We're having fun. It's so serious. A lot of people, just like when you get to the NFL, you feel like you've arrived. You get drafted. You've arrived. Nope, you still have to play. You still have to earn the things that you get. So just thinking about all those good times, all those fun times, us having fun. You go back to us in mini camp, looking at each other like Torry's young. He don't know any better. Yeah.
I'm just going.
He's a rookie. He goes to the Super Bowl as a rookie, right? And we're just like we can't figure out why not. Why not this team? What's wrong with what haven't we done? What are we not doing? And every man make an account to themselves to not just get the job done, but do their best to get the job done. That's what and then you end up in that game and we're looking at each other like, man, we're here. We are here.
Well, Torry, he just brought up a great point. You went as a rookie.
Yes.
What do you remember about that week leading up to it and to think, in my first year, I'm going to the big game?
Yes. I was, well, for one, I was focused on trying to make sure I knew how to get to the facilities, to the crib. This is a new place for me, new territory. Then I had to bring donuts to veterans.
Now, who started that,
That's
Marshall?
the dirty work. That's how it is.
That was just what it was.
That's how it is.
What were the donuts? What were the requests?
They were glazed.
Glazed?
They wanted the glaze. I knew to pick up, and I got so good at it, I would just drive by, to be right there for Mr. Holt. Boom, I snag them and I keep going. And they'd be right there for the guy. So that, and then the expectations. I was a 6th overall draft pick in that draft. So the expectations that come with that to play well, and I wanted to prove to the veteran players that I could play at a high level. And then getting to the Super Bowl, seeing Marshall and Ray Agnew and all of the veteran players that just went through the grind of the league, Isaac that never won, never been to the playoffs, and seeing as a young boy have an opportunity to play a part in that, I wanted to make sure that I was on point. So Marshall mentioned the physical part of it, yes, and then also the mental part of it. We had 180-some red zone plays that we had to prepare for, 180 red zone plays that we had to prepare for. And it's likely if we can get 100, he could call all of those plays. Like Coach Martz had a plethora of plays. So learning all of that, and then Marsha also said, too, having fun, enjoying the moment, because that's important, too. I think you got to enjoy the moment. But certainly I was like, okay, I'm going to be back here next year and the next year and the next year. I can get used to this.
Okay, but how hard is it to get back?
It's hard.
And to have that success so early
It's
on, Torry.
hard.
Jane, I had to tell. I was like, I was like, Torry, it's not this easy. Like he literally came in on a team at the right time. Like I'm talking perfect timing for a rookie, and everything for him. And listen, he worked for it, but everything it was just like it was just cruising, you know. And I was like, bro, it ain't like this.
Exactly.
This ain't like, he hadn't went 4-12 yet. I was like, it ain't like this.
But the veterans did a good job of reminding the young boys, though, too, of that. We had good veteran leadership. When I think of Ricky Prohl and Isaac and Todd Light, I can go on and on. It's just good veteran leadership, guys that knew how to grind, knew how to work, also had fun, but didn't mind reaching back and helping the young boys say, look, this is how you be a pro.
And you had to remind them, because you don't know if you're going to get back. In my head, I always thought of Dan Marino.
That's a good one.
I always thought of Dan Marino, and nobody couldn't tell me that when you saw Marino in his first, you knew he was getting back.
He was that
and
good,
he never
y'all.
did.
Yeah.
And I was like, that could easily happen. So take advantage of this opportunity. This opportunity may never come again. You might not get a chance to lose another one, not win another one. Right. You might not get a chance to lose another one. And just constantly reminding them of that. One more thing. So this dude, most of the time when you're the sixth pick, you come on a team and there's nobody like you walk into a room, you're like Superman.
Yeah.
But he walked into a room and he embraced it. I'm telling you, he embraced it. Oz Hakeem, Isaac Bruce, Ricky Prohl, like guys that was like they're putting up numbers, and it wasn't like he didn't come in with the mentality of, you know, throw me the ball or this. I'm gonna learn from these guys. And a lot of that is what went on that team. A lot of that, a lot of unselfishness.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the point, learning the playbook, right? And a lot of the storylines this week, I'm covering the Rams for the NFL Network, has been lessons that maybe Sean McVay learned from the last trip to the Super Bowl. In other words, don't try to do too much. Don't tinker with that playbook. How much tinkering gets done leading up to the Super Bowl? And how many were installed in training camp that you sort of keep the tricks up your sleeve?
We didn't even have to tinker. Like every play in our playbook was callable. Yes. You had to be ready and on alert. Right. We didn't go. Mike Martz wasn't like that. It wasn't. We didn't have to add anything. The plays were the plays. It was like, hey, we're going to work on this, but anything could be called.
Yes. And we could be. I remember we can be in week 12, and he'll call something from week 2, and expect for you to know it. And we knew it, though.
Yes.
So my favorite, for some people that aren't too inside football, inside baseball on this, what was one of the more memorable play calls? Because you have to, it's a whole line. And even I learned in my career, a lot of times when the fact that these quarterbacks are calling out some of these plays, there's always a word that the tight end listens for or that the running back listens for. And the wide receiver, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So what was the one play call you can remember just going, that took me a minute?
Wow, that was it was plenty of those because we had so much offense.
We had a lot of
right.
We had a lot of offense, but the ones that, like Marshall mentioned, the ones that we did really well was called very often. 425, 485. Pitch. What was the pitch to you, Marshall?
Flip 90.
Flip 90, flip 80. I mean, there was things that we knew or coach knew to call that triggered us, but it was a lot of plays that also gave me some challenges, but I could not afford not to learn it because they were learning it. And I wanted to play. I wanted to be a part of what was happening. So that was also the challenging part too. Physicality, yes, but the mental aspect of how we were challenged as football players too is what I'll also remember and will continue to cherish.
Yeah, we for me, it's not, when the play is called, you're only listening for certain things, and there's certain plays, and anytime like my play that if I heard it called, I was like, yes, And like I remember the play like it's yesterday. 525 zip.
Yes.
H post F swing. Like if that play was called, it was on. Like it was on.
Seriously, can you imagine remembering those and calling that out, and then the guy over on the side, one of your wide receivers, what is that again?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this to you one more time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally.
And another one, Ace Right, $9.99. Backs out. I mean, those are bread, but that's the play Isaac caught the touchdown on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of advantage is it really to be able to host the Super Bowl in your city and sleep in your bed? In the Rams' case, they're not checking into the hotel until Saturday. The first time we ever saw that done really was Tom Brady and the Bucs last year, and they proved wasn't an issue. You go out there and you made the Chiefs and Mahomes look elementary, right? But what do you guys think of that it's happening again for this Rams team? What sort of advantage
I'm gonna let
is there?
Torry answer that one first, but before he does, Tom Brady, what they did, winning a Super Bowl at home had never been done before. And now you have another team, the Rams, about to have the chance to win a Super Bowl at home, but there's never been a team to win an NFC championship game and a Super Bowl in the same stadium.
That's right.
So, like, it's amazing how history continues to have the opportunity to be made in this game. The Rams winning the Super Bowl, it would be the first time.
Yeah.
Although Tampa won at home, they won the NFC Championship game in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So it would be history made. You will witness history with the Rams winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And that's what I said that earlier in the week as well. I said the fans get an opportunity to witness history with this football team if it all works out. And I like the fact that the young generation now has some players that they can admire. You all remember when you were young, when you had players, wherever city you was from, or if you was from Los Angeles, you had a player or players that you admired. This generation of kids have an opportunity to do that, so I'm really excited about seeing that part. And this is a good football team, playing a really good football team with the Cincinnati Bengals, who's very young, and a lot how I was as a rookie. They know no better. Those teams are scary because they're just coming in and just going.
See, I had this debate with Chris Carter on Good Morning Football. It was, is experience better or inexperience?
I had both.
What do you think?
I would rather be. I like the way I felt when I knew. I want to know. I want to be able to anticipate what's coming.
Right. And
for me,
I'm with you. I feel you on that. I felt the same way when I knew. It's no greater feeling.
You enjoy it more.
Yes.
But on this home field advantage, Rams playing at home. Here's the thing. I'm being real with you guys. Here's what I don't know. I remember the week because we went to Atlanta and we were there. We went to New Orleans. We were there.
Remember, we only had 1 week.
Yeah, we went there. We were there. We were there all week. When you're at home, your family, your honeydews, helping with the kids, all the stuff
stop that week.
It's still just because it's the Super Bowl, none of that stuff don't stop.
Nope.
And usually you're away from that. But when you're at home, like you can't turn that off. You can't turn the family don't just sit down like, okay, it's Super Bowl. Your kids don't know it's Super. They're like, who cares? Exactly. Dad, play with me. Like
You're like 1 week. I need 1 week, son.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because you brought up an interesting story on Good Morning Football on Friday about, you just brought this point up, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this one. You had 1 week of turnaround, and you were coming off getting pretty beaten up in the game before.
Very.
What do you remember about that week, and how much time did you spend in the cold tub, hot tub?
Every day. That was one of the more physical football games I've ever played in.
The most for me.
Yeah. It was that physical.
The game against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship, and it was probably one of the toughest games that I've ever played in.
Why?
Again, as a rookie for me, it was definitely welcome to the National Football League. This is how the National Football League is played from a physicality. And the reason why is because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Warren Sapp, Derrick Brooks, John Lynch, all these Hall of Famers, along with all the other guys that they had, played the system called the Tampa 2.
Yep.
And they played it better than anybody I've ever seen. And they did a really good job of, in terms of their pass rush and rush lanes, because Sapp and them was just a force, discipline. Linebackers are always in their fits. In the passing game, they were in their passing lanes. They were where they were supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. And when they got there with bad intentions. Well, we played the same way on the other side of the ball.
That's
we played
awesome.
just as reckless. So we knew it was going to be that kind of game. So that week prior, me and Ike and others, and they're getting as much weightlifting as we can to get as strong as we can to endure the type of punishment that we knew we could possibly take in the game. Because as Marshall mentioned, we didn't deviate away from what we did. We played football the way we practiced it and the way we was coached, regardless of what you were doing. This is what we're going to do. So
Classic matchup, number one offense, number one defense.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this because we made the game look so fun, and the things that we did in the game, it was like, oh my God, I've never seen people do that. Tampa came in with the mindset of they're not tough.
right.
And so
Yes.
sometimes when you play games, you get like little cheap touchdowns where, like the team not disciplined or well, with them it was they wanted to see if they imposed their will on us, would we like not respond? And they will tell you like that was one of the toughest football games that on both sides that we've ever played.
Yeah.
And they listen, they brought it. They brought it. We took it and we answered the bell and got the win at the end.
No doubt. No doubt.
You guys get to talk a lot about your years playing, especially when you win a Super Bowl, right? But when it's the Rams and they're making the run here in LA, when you guys are talking about, already I feel the energy and the excitement, but has it just brought back sort of a fresh batch of memories and emotions going back to hoist it? What was it like to hoist that Lombardi?
It was beautiful. It really was. To see the confetti and just to see the joy on our teammates and coach's face, because we endured a lot. We put a lot of work in. Coach Vermeil worked the shit out of us. Mm-hmm. He's very intentional about it, too.
And now he's just selling wines, right?
And
like now he's just
selling
laid
wine.
back.
And now
He's intentional about that too.
Right, he's intentional about that too. Trust me. He was on our show the other morning. He just got into the black, so he's super excited.
Oh,
right
very
now.
exciting.
Yeah, but no, it was beautiful, and again, I go back to the city enjoying it, and those kids, and your family, and everybody in riding that journey that year, and to be able to hoist it at the end, all the fingerprints and stuff on it. That trophy's nasty too, by the way. But nobody cares. Nobody is even thinking about that.
Because kissing it.
Right. All
other
of that.
people touching it.
Yeah. It's real nasty, yo.
No hand sanitizer.
Nothing.
No gloves.
And then turn around and shake each other's hand and hug each other. It's just,
think about it.
If
If
pretty
you
nasty,
got to hoist it right now, would you do it?
Right. If you had
would
to
you hoist it right now? Would you do it?
And it's a beautiful trophy. I had a chance to deliver it the other day, Saturday afternoon at the LA Convention Center, which was really sweet. It's 7 pounds. It's beautiful. Tiffany does a good job with the trophy. It's a fantastic, beautiful piece. 7 pounds, and I held it up there as if it was my first because
it's like Lord of the Rings. He's like, precious.
Simba.
Jane, I'll tell you this. So I was at the NFC Championship game, and after winning the game and watching, they rolled confetti, everything, having a moment like it comes back. It comes back. Being a part of that, being down there, it like you those feelings that you felt when you went through it, they come back. Like
And
they
to
literally
see
do.
I would imagine too, guys, because it was such a tight group, those runs that you made. This group, even without all of the outside free agents and bringing in stars like Von Miller and Odell Beckham Jr., Matthew Stafford, they seem to have really gelled together really quick, and there was so much emotion after that NFC game. Did that take you back to some of the emotion and friendships and brotherhood you had when you were playing?
Yeah, it was watching this team come together, and coaches can't do that. It's the leaders on the team.
Yes.
I look at Whitworth and I look at Aaron Donald, and them, whether it's Von Miller, whether it's Stafford, whether it's Sony Michel coming in, how they embrace having those guys, even late, Weddle coming back in, like watching the team and what they did. That happens with the culture in the locker. Coaches don't build that. Players in the locker room. I know that locker room culture is good because of what we saw, and it's necessary. It's necessary if a team is going to be successful. The locker room culture has to be good, and I'm gonna say this: it's like your work culture. When you work in a toxic environment, it's hard to be successful. But when you work in a good environment where things are good and you're happy to show up you're happy. When it gets hard, you're happy to do the dirty. That's where you want to be. That's where success is.
And that's who we were. And that's the type of team we were. And also the fact that we enjoyed celebrating each other. Like I was like, this is dope. Like, this is where it's at. Everybody, I enjoy Marshall going over 100, going over 1,000, to be a part of that. So the individual success that we all had created the overall team success that we ultimately got when we hoisted the trophy. So that's something that we'll take with us to the day we die. And as soon as we see one another, we jump right into formation. Like, let's go. Because we just got that kind of bond. We just vibe that way. And that's a championship mindset. And this team has that.
You know, Jane, I'm going to tell you this, and I tell this story all the time because I think it shows the character of our team and, like, the camaraderie and the team bond that we had. 1998, Isaac Bruce was a little banged up. Ricky Pro led the team in touchdowns and yards, all right, as a receiver. Oz Hakeem was young. He wasn't really ready yet. So we come to this 99 season. We draft Torry. Oz is healthy. Ike is having one of those Ike B type of years. And so you see the greatest show on turf. Now, think about the guy last year who led the team in touchdowns and yards, all right? Stayed ready, was always ready. Yep. His first touchdown was the pass that they threw him in an NFC Championship game in Tampa Bay. That was his first touchdown of the season. Never said a word, didn't complain, celebrated with us, happy, was good in meetings, was coaching, he would coach Torry up, would coach Oz up. That was that team and who we were. Guys like that. That's what it was about. That's why the bond between us. Listen, we have a group text with about 40, maybe 45 of us on, and we just go back and forward. We're still a close group. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you is what were those group texts like after they clinched a spot in the Super Bowl? I can only imagine. Did the battery drain?
We're going to the Super Bowl again.
We're going to the Super Bowl, but it could not be any better than going through San Francisco.
Yes.
Let's be real.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be real.
Absolutely. And
I'm going to be real.
Yeah. And they were really what was glaring in that game. The Rams, just from a physicality standpoint, just stood up and said, "We're not taking it.
Yeah,
we're not taking it. It's not going down in SoFi like that for us to go to the Super Bowl." So
you know that feeling when you watch the movie when the little kid finally stands up to the bully and knock him down. It was like that. It was like. You know that feeling because the 49ers had been bullying us a little. It was like we got this one. Nope. Bully comes back. The bully takes it. And finally, in the biggest game possible.
Right.
Like I think about it, the 49ers was only in the playoffs because they beat us.
The Rams, because they came to beat us.
It's the last game of the season.
And then you talk about guys that stepped up. I mean, how about Nick Scott?
Nick Scott
and
was
his
fantastic.
play against Deebo Samuel.
He's been fantastic. Nick Scott has been fantastic. And that's the other thing, too, when I think about this team. And me and Marshall, we've covered the team for years, and we did preseason games, and we watched the drafts and all that. And Les Snead and this group do a lot of off-the-wall things, some would say, or out-of-the-box type things. But one thing that I like about this team when I watch them, and I watch them every year, whoever they draft, they develop who they have drafted. Nick Scott is a guy that they draft and develop. He showed up. Blanton, the tight end. Higbee goes down. Is a guy that they draft. They develop it. He's playing. Like, they're drafting these guys, and they're playing them. Just like when Akers went down. They wanted him to make this move. He just sat back, allowed his players that are on his roster to develop and help him. Then they brought in Sony Michel, obviously. But point is, they do a really good job, what I like about them. And people say they don't have a first round or a second round and all this going into this year's draft, and that's cool. But they got draft picks. And what we've seen, what I've witnessed, and Marsh, you correct me if I'm wrong, tell me what you think. But I think they've done a good job of drafting good, talented guys, more importantly, developing those players. And guys want to be developed.
Let's be honest. So let's think about those draft picks, all right? And one of our guys, he's actually the assistant general manager of Detroit. Now, I hate to say this, that first round pick could be a 32nd pick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
it's like, so is it worth it when you think about what you did for Stafford or what you did for Ramsey or what you did for Von Miller? Because I'm gonna tell you, Von Miller, I think we got the better end of that.
Yes.
When you look at it. And I was talking on the radio the other day. I was like, man, when the trade happened with Stafford and Goff, people had to be thinking like, hold up, wait. Goff took us to a Super Bowl, and Stafford hadn't won a playoff game yet, and it was looking like thinking about ever right. It was looking like, what do we do? Right? And now I'm gonna say the fourth quarter of the 49er game. I don't know what your football IQ is, but there were some throws in that game that Matthew Stafford made. And I'm not just talking about arm talent. I'm talking about standing in the pocket. I'm talking about yes. And I didn't know. You don't really know if a guy has that until you see him in that situation, stand in the fire and take it. And I was like, I respect him now. I can respect you.
You know, it's funny. I talked to his high school coach, Randy Allen, for a report that I did today, and I said, when did you know that Matthew Stafford was special? And he said, 5th grade. And I said, what? He said there were rumors around Dallas that there was this 5th grader with amazing composure and confidence that was throwing balls 70 yards. Wow. And that when he threw for his junior year to college coaches, that it was such a velocity and speed that it had a noise in the air. There was this zip to it. So I just thought that was interesting to kind of look back. And now I kind of want to look back a little bit with you, Marshall. It's crazy to me that going back to college, a lot of these coaches that showed up at your doorstep and in your living room wanted to bring you on board, but at the cornerback position. Now, I think of all of the awards that you've won as a running back by staying true to yourself. And if you don't remember, let me rattle them off. Heisman, MVP, 3-time Offensive Player of the Year, NFL rushing leader. You've got a retired jersey, a Ring of Honor, and a Hall of Fame. So do you ever think about what life would have been like if you had not stayed true to yourself?
Let's not act like that don't happen every day.
Right.
Get this man a round of applause.
You know, I think back to, you know, as an 18-year-old making a decision on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And I think everybody in the room at some point in time, you wanted to do something and you wanted to be something and somebody influenced your decision and you didn't make the decision you wanted to make. And you're sitting here right now thinking to yourself what you could be. Don't allow people to put a lid on who you can be and what you can be in life. You know, you have to make those decisions. And I thank my parents for that because they allowed me to choose the school that I wanted to go to, and they didn't care where it was. You know, I was like, I'm going here because they're giving me this opportunity. And it's the belief in self that matters. You know, I believed in my talent, having the football in my hands, what I wanted to do. As a corner, I got to catch the ball to do that. As a receiver, I got to hope the quarterback throws the ball to me. Now, I could play quarterback, but at that point in time, a 5'11" quarterback just wouldn't happen. Not to mention, you know, I'm black, so that just wasn't happening. Let's be real, okay? All right?
Go play basketball, Marshall.
On the flip side, what do you think about Stephon Diggs making that transition from wide receiver then to cornerback and how well it's played out for him?
Listen, it's worked out for him thus far.
Yeah.
Hopefully, his dreams and his hopes at playing corner he's living that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't I played corner because my coach asked me to. Mm-hmm. Like when I showed up with a number 33 on because I loved Tony Dorsett and I wanted to run the football.
Love that. Torry, when we talk about sort of a defining moment in your career, you injured your knee in the Senior Bowl ahead of the combine, and then went out and had an incredible combine. What do you remember about that experience, or what did you learn about yourself that sort of helped you in the NFL after going through that?
Well, I learned I had my mom in me
Yeah.
and my dad, because I can dig deep. My mom passed away of cancer in 1996, had lymphoma, so I watched her dig and grind to prepare, or to get us prepared for life and to provide for us. So just that grind and just that pedigree from her, I learned going through that knee issue. And then my strength coach, Coach William Hicks, took me through some crazy workouts to get me ready. I'm on the treadmill, helmet, shoulder pads, running. I'm doing sit-ups, helmet, shoulder pads. He's throwing the football too. I'm just doing all kinds of things, just kind of out of the box to get ready. Because I went to him. I said, I want you to take me and I want you to get me in the best shape of my life, because this is my interview. Mm-hmm. This was it. So I wanted to make sure that I was prepared and was at my best. And boy, did he take me through a lot to get me ready. And I remember going out there and performing and putting on a show and increasing my draft status. But learned a lot about myself going through that, and in particular, the grind from what I learned from my mom and my dad.
I love that story. Now, that is certainly worthy of an applause. I wanted to ask you guys, obviously there's a lot of mentorship because it's such a small fraternity, guys that go from college, then to just play in the NFL and then to win a Super Bowl. Who do you guys specifically mentor? Are there any guys in the league that you guys are really proud of that you started mentorship with early on? I'll start with you, Torry.
I wouldn't say not case by case, but day by day type mentorship. But I do talk to a lot of guys in the National Football League. A lot of guys on this team. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp had an opportunity to speak to these guys. Been in the classroom with these young men. So we do cross paths. And then I work with the NFL Legends community. So I talk to guys constantly, emails, phone calls, just making sure that they're on top of what resources is available for them in the National Football League. So mentorship comes in that form, but not on a day-to-day basis. But when I do get a chance to speak to former players, totally enjoy it and love it. It's like going back to the locker room. It's like how me and Marshall doing right now.
Yeah.
We're just kicking it, just throwing things out there, just vibing and having a good time. But trying to make sure that the guys know what's available, what their responsibilities are, making sure that they stay engaged with each other, stay engaged with their football team, because a large part of our life, football has always been there. So you just can't just once you retire, you just can't just throw that away. You need to be able to engage with your brothers. We did it for a long time. So mentorship certainly, happens when I talk to guys. But I love what I'm doing, working with the Legends community and being able to see guys as much as I do.
For me, it's a little different because I work with some guys that, they're getting ready to make the transition from college to pro, and they want to know. A lot of people can teach you what goes on the field, but how to talk about football, being intellectually sound, knowing the game of football, how to speak about the game of football. So whenever I'm watching guys that I've talked to or worked with or I've had conversations with, because there's a lot of guys that in the game today that's playing the game the way I played it. And so their coaches will be like, hey, you need to talk to Marshall. And so not only do I enjoy the mentorship, and it's not just the, hey, you had a good game. It's, hey, you're not executing this. Hey, you look like you're a little heavy. Your feet are slow. Hey, here's what I see, because I'm giving them the feedback that they need. They're hearing how great they are all the time. Mm. And sometimes you need those people in your life that are real with you. And I just keep it real with a lot of the guys that I work with, along with complimenting them when they overcome milestones. Kristen McCaffrey, he and I, his father, hey, reach out to Marshall when he was going through the combine, and we talk, and we still talk periodically. And then him becoming the third back to go for 1,000, having the conversations with him about after that, what you have to do in order to take care of your body, to maintain, to play the game a long time. Frank Gore was the guy who called me all the time. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott, because we share the same agent, he and we talk all the time about transition in the game, how to see the game. Clyde Allaire, because we share the same agent. Just Alvin Kamara, we play the same. And the guy who was his head coach, Sean Payton, actually was my coach in college. So the just identifying and being able to talk about the game and understanding of the game and how to play the game at a high level from the position. I'm always having conversations, and what I do is I welcome a lot of young kids. The kid out at Texas A&M, I'm working with him right now, Isaiah Spiller, just to understand the game of football. So they're coming in with a higher football IQ than most kids.
You know, it's interesting you bring up Ezekiel Elliott. People may not know this, but when he was going through the lockout and some of the struggles early on in his career, you were down there with him, you know, working out. How have you seen him mature just in receiving the feedback and even struggling, I think, this year with some criticism of his game? I mean, both of you guys know you start here, but in like my career, you're only as good as your last story. You're only as good as your last season. How do you talk those guys through those moments?
Well, for me, and I'm gonna be specific about Ezekiel Elliott because that's what we're seeing. When he came in the league, his first 2 years, people don't remember. Dallas had the best offensive line in the league. DeMarco Murray and some other unknown backs were rushing for they were leading the league in rushing. And then you put his talent with those guys, and the game was easy. And I kept telling him, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And then what happened was the offensive line is not the same offensive line that it was. And so now the way he's seen and the way people are attacking him as a runner, it's changed. And here's the thing. It always happens. It happened to me, every great running back, every good running back it's happened to. When they take Ezekiel Elliott when he walks off the field and Tony Pollard comes on the field, guess who they focus on now? Dak. They're daring you to get the ball to Pollard. Like the backup or the other guy, he's going to always eat more than the starter because when the starter comes in, he got 2 circles. So when they circle you on the board, you're important. When you have 2 circles, we have to focus on this person. So he's the guy with 2 circles on him for most defenses. And now that's what he's learning how to play the game with the bullseye on him. And then understanding, listen, this thing is bigger than you. It is bigger than you.
And social media doesn't help these days.
No,
Can you imagine playing back then with social media?
Oh, gosh. I'm glad. I'm okay
He
with
says I'm going to reserve
I'm okay.
my comments.
I'm okay with how it all went.
Yep.
Well, speaking of comments, we did reach out and get some pre-submitted questions, and so they have been texted to me right now. Because I told you I could talk to these guys for hours. The reason why I love my job is I'm just naturally curious. And so I love talking to you guys, and might just pop up in one of my NFL Network reports later. Thanks, guys. Questions from the audience. Can you talk about your relationship with your coach, Dick Vermeil?
Yes, love Coach Vermeil. Talked to him yesterday. He came on our show and talked to him. He's Coach Vermeil is the type of coach
Look
that
at this guy laughing.
No, he's the type of coach that he knows you. Like he'll send you birthday wishes, wedding anniversary wishes. I mean, he's that in tune with his player. That's what I liked about Coach Vermeil. And I remember my rookie year. We was playing the Philadelphia Eagles. Marshall and them broke all kinds of records, so they were out of the game. So when I saw them jog off the field, I was like, yes, it's my turn now. Because they were just so good. We shared the football. But anyway, I'm having a great game against the Eagles, and I catch a post, 868 or something. Coach had called 828 or something. And I catch a deep post for a touchdown. So, I do a little celebrating, a little hot dog in a little bit. And Coach Vermeil comes over to me and he says, great catch, nice play, enjoy it. Just don't forget where you come from. Just reminding me to stay a little humble. It's okay to stay a little humble.
That doesn't work in today's NFL.
No. But it was. I'm glad that he did it, and
Yeah.
and I took what he said to heart, and I was mindful of that after touchdowns. But no, he's that kind of coach. You don't want to disappoint him. He's definitely challenging. Glad I came into that kind of environment early on because I knew what hard work was about. I knew what it was going to take to become a champion. That leadership was led by Coach Emil, and it's another thing. He would come in the meeting rooms, and he had all these stats. Maybe he had all those stats, like this percentage if you fumble, like this percentage if you get sacks, your percentages of winning are this. I mean, he had all of these.
So he was in analytics.
He was analytics, and they were all color-coded. Like, he's that detailed. And that was also another thing he talked to me about, when I was wanting to get into broadcasting. And he talked to me about, setting up your game boards and color coding things. And so, no, Coach Vermeil is a fantastic human being. He and Curl, his wife, are really special people. He's got a lot of grandkids. Marshall mentioned he's got his winery. I know Coach is fantastic. When we go to the Hall of Fame and I go down to the weight room to work out, Coach Vermeil's already in there. Getting this push, this push and pull on. It ain't going too fast, but it's, but the fact that he's in there is certainly giving me inspiration, to want to keep going. So that's the kind of man, nothing but respect for Coach Vermeil to the highest degree.
All right, now I've got to know what you have to say because I just saw you sort of just sitting there waiting your turn.
I have a love for Coach Vermeil that I didn't always have. I had 3 head coaches in Indianapolis before I got to Coach Vermeil. And then, all the head coaches in every other sport, they were just like macho men. They were like alpha male type men. And when I got traded to the Rams, sitting in a team meeting and to hear a coach like get emotional and cry in the meeting, I'm looking around like this our leader? and so coaches normally don't want to get to know you like that. And coach would be like, hey, Marshall, so, me and the wife, we're having dinner. Why don't you come over? I'm like, no. Like one day you might have to cut me. We gotta keep this, that
separation of church and state here.
6 feet right here, like, it's like, and then that's hard because that's the relationship. Most coaches and coaches are normally a little distant. They don't. But Coach Vermeil was like, he was an embracer. Like he would hug you.
Yes.
Anywhere. I don't care. In the shower,
Yes.
he would hug you.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, he was.
There was just no when there was a hug.
Very
it was
intimate.
It was a hug.
Boundaries.
You were getting a hug from Coach
you was gonna
Vermeil.
get a hug.
Like that was who he was, and I didn't really appreciate, and I didn't really see it for what it was while he was my coach. But I'm gonna tell you guys what happened when it clicked for me. It was my second year at the NFL Network, and it was the Dallas Cowboys playing in the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. This was the D'Angelo Hall, Terrell Owens spitting incident game. And Coach Vermeil was calling that game, and he lost his voice. I'd never called a football game before in my life. And Eric came to me and said, hey, Marshall, we need you to call a game. I'm like, hold on, wait. I'm an analyst. I could talk about football, but I've never been on a live broadcast calling a game. Now, I've heard many games. I'm talking many, but I've never called a game. And so Eric came back. What do you think? I was like, it's an opportunity. I'm up for it. Let me see. What can no preparation, nothing.